put it in your mouth.
I hope I can start the video with that. I hope when I cut this up for YouTube, I can start the video with Lost Joke saying, just put it in your mouth. Oh my god.
I mean, you could isolate the audio if you want.
I'm up.
There was nothing else going on.
I'm up and I'm in the game. Holy shit. What are animals doing? Our animals are 100% ridden. So, I don't know. I don't know what I don't got nothing. I don't got nothing to say. I guess we can talk about various things. I have some topics we can talk about that might be over talked about, but
well, how about we talk about 14 and the popularity that is skyrocketing.
I mean, that was the one that I was saying. That was the one that I was meaning about talking overly talking about it. At least in terms of like just in general, like everybody's talking about it. You know, I know that you said that I should try to stream 14 at some point, but then I saw
the in vogue thing, and you do already own it.
Sure, but then I saw someone post a picture that showed, you know, Twitch's like the top streaming MMOs, and 14 was number 2 after New World, only because Amazon has paid a bunch of top streamers to stream the New World closed beta. And that's probably the only reason that it's like edging out. Final Fantasy. It's not edging out. It's completely destroying. I think the picture showed like 200K people watching New World, and then like 45K watching.
It's a new it's a new thing. It's a new game that's coming out. So I imagine a popularity is booming.
Yeah. Just
because shiny new thing to look at.
But that's the thing is that, you know, I don't ever really stream popular games, like at least not during their heyday. Like I played Dark Souls 3, right? But I didn't really play it when it was new and when it was like super popular. I played it like, you know, a year or so later. Same with like Bloodborne. Like I didn't play Bloodborne until like 2 or 3 years after it had come out. So I don't know. Like I have played Final Fantasy 14 since 2.0 launched. Like I am a long-term player of that game. But it would feel, I don't know, it feel weird kind of playing it. Plus, I don't know, it's one of those things where like if I'm streaming a game. So here's the thing. When I pick a game to stream, particularly on Mondays, when I do my solo stream, I pick a game because I haven't played it, because I kind of wanted to play it, but I also kind of wanted to kind of show it off to other people, maybe. But if I really wanted to fully enjoy a game, I would not stream it. I would just play it by myself. Because when you stream a game, you kind of have to have your attention split and try to be at least somewhat entertaining and not just kind of sit there in silence and enjoy the game that you're playing. So like I don't really want to do that with 14. Like if I play 14, I want to kind of enjoy the game. Like I could stream some of it. Like I could stream like Bozia. I could stream
a lot of people I've seen that stream 14 often either stream they're raiders, so they stream the extreme fights that they do. So it's there is some interaction, but they're obviously just showing off the fights. And I've watched them occasionally because it's interesting to see the stuff that I probably won't do, because you know I don't do the high-end raids and fights anymore.
Yeah.
Or some people do just casually run content with friends of their FC.
What'd you say, Craig?
Looks like there's still some stuff to harvest.
Is there? Do we not finish? No, I don't see anything ready to harvest. I think our fields are completely empty. I was going to start seeding.
It just disappeared for me.
That's weird.
I saw it on the map and I saw it on the field, and after
what
you
if I
said
told
it's
you
not there, I went to the map again and it was gone.
What if I told you that I am the god of this world and I make things appear and disappear at will?
What is God to a king?
What does God need with a starship?
We went in two separate directions with this.
I even saw, like, the field from the garage over here. I could see a little bit of it. And after I exited the map, when it disappeared, I also saw the crops disappear.
There we go. I'm hiring a worker to plant soybeans here. But anyway, I mean, I could still. It's just it feels like that at that point I would be kind of like a drop in the ocean. You know, I would be one drop in the Final Fantasy XIV streaming ocean. No.
I think we should quit farming and just
want to just do horses?
Do horses.
We could do that.
Because don't we have a sizable stockpile of all the stuff we need for the horses now?
We do, and honestly, if we could just... So withering isn't on, so we could just, like, put a crop in there and then just, like, let it sit until we need it. Like, there's no reason that we can't just let it sit. We might want to just end up doing that with, like, some oats. Like, we might still want to just shove oats in one of our fields and then just leave it until we need it. Like, we do have a lot of oats, but I think the oats are going to be, like, the first thing to start kind of dwindling for the horses, especially if we get more. Because we have so much
set up the other tractor to plant on the other field.
Yeah, go ahead and start putting oats in that far field, and like I guess I'll let this guy finish, but I'm not going to wait for him. Like as soon as it hits 7 o'clock in the game, I'm gonna go ahead and time skip to the next day.
We still need to do the weeding and the fertilization in a timely manner, don't we?
I think we do, but that only affects like the yield. Like the plants will still grow and we'll still get something from it. It just we would get more if we did those. So I don't think it's like necessarily like the huge thing. Jesus. What are you doing?
I feel like there isn't a lot to do with the horses for us to like devote all of our time to it.
So we don't devote all of our time to it. We ride them and then we skip to the next day and ride them again.
Yeah, the thing is the horses do need literally 5 real-time minutes every single in-game day, which is kind of weird. And I did try to see if there was like a thing that we could do to adjust that to make it like maybe take a little less time, just so it's a little less time consuming. But no, there's not. Nothing exists for that. I mean, there's no way to decrease that. And increasing the time scale in the game does not help with that. Like, it literally needs to be actual 5 real minutes, no matter how fast the time is going.
Yeah.
And then that resets every day.
It's a lot quicker if we don't plant crops every single day.
That's true. And horses are very time-consuming in that case, because they take like 10 days of riding them 5 minutes every single day. So that's, you know... It's basically like 50 minutes.
If we keep planting crops as often as we possibly can, then it's going to take forever to raise horses.
Yes. And the horses would be, I think, more lucrative, especially if we do start skipping days a lot. So, I mean, you buy them for 5K and then wait 10 days. Not really wait, but, you know, I have to ride them every day. But other than that, you just, you know, after 10 days, they sell for 50K, so...
Helper E, you son of a bitch.
It's Helper E, not,
You didn't do any work, and you took $81.
Job done! I was going to talk about...
son of a bitch.
Something related.
Why can't we hire good workers here?
Because they're like bottom of the barrel workers. We're scraping the bottom of the barrel. If they were good workers, we'd hire them on permanently, like Lost Joke. Yes, Lost Joke, I just called you a good worker. Enjoy that compliment. It's the last one you'll ever get.
Apparently, you have to drive the tractor onto the field before they'll start working.
Well, yeah, you have to designate the thing that you want them to do.
Well, I was right next to the field.
That's not the field, though.
I was going to talk about the stuff that has come out. Was it today or yesterday? About Acta Blizzard.
Oh,
have you seen all this?
That was like earlier today.
My sense of time is like completely broken because of my weird sleeping schedule.
This is farmhand hiring simulator.
Craig, have you seen this? Have you seen the info, the new stuff about Active Blizzard?
Hiring and then talking game industry simulator. No, I haven't.
Apparently, a California State Department,
pretty much representing the entirety state of California,
is suing them for their terrible work culture, which is described as being akin to frat boy culture, in which there is rampant sexism and racism and harassment in the Active Blizzard offices, and this includes Blizzard specifically as well. It's not just Activision; it's the whole thing. So yeah, they're being sued after apparently a 2-year investigation into the company. So this is after investigating for 2 years, they have decided to go ahead with the suit.
I'll be interested to see more specific allegations.
How specific? Like individuals?
Yeah, they can show like individualized accusations with names redacted.
Yeah, there's been like they've I know one of the things is that they were one of the names was the president, that they were saying basically kind of allowed and even enabled this kind of behavior in their employees, and also for like not promoting women into higher positions and paying them less. Like, this is the friggin' 80s again. I don't know what it is. Aziz Ansari. Louis C.K. was basically just like, he didn't do anything. He asked
like, for permission
really
to
terrible.
Masturbate in front of people.
Yeah, but he didn't actually like do it. Like, he was just like joking around.
I think he actually did do it.
Did he?
But he did get consent. It's just that people say that that doesn't matter because he's powerful.
So basically, Louis C.K. kind of acted like an asshole, but isn't like, he would be on like the lower end of the sexual harassment. Yeah.
I went in order from worst to least bad, because Aziz Ansari was accused of doing shit when he just had a bad date, basically.
What the state of California is doing against Blizzard, the company, because I don't think they're aiming for specific people. I think they're holding the entire company accountable, but what they're looking into as far as Blizzard is concerned is a lot worse than the individuals you mentioned.
Worse than Harvey Weinstein?
I don't want to go into details because it's actually
Nobody's
very
worse
bad.
than him. Nobody's worse than fucking Weinstein, but they sound like they're pretty bad. Like life-destroyingly bad in some cases, which is something that Harvey Weinstein did, but Harvey Weinstein, I think, made it a lot more of a normalized thing and did that to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Whereas in this case, it seems like it's an extreme example and not necessarily the norm. But the one thing that was mentioned was that one of the employees actually killed herself because of sexual harassment and people passing around like nudes of her in the office.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, the most potentially extreme example, and it is a really bad example. Don't get me wrong, that's really, really bad. But
yeah,
Weinstein, I think, would definitely still be worse than that.
There are probably a bunch of suicides that are Harvey's fault that we don't really know for sure were his fault.
That's true. I know it's like still nighttime. Oh my god, the horses are actually still asleep. The horses are sleeping! Oh! Where's my flashlight? There it
Horses
is.
need sleep.
Horses are
Helper
laying
J
down
is
and
blocked by an
sleeping.
object.
Oh, it ain't me.
Who left a vehicle somewhere?
But it's even more reason to stop playing World of Warcraft and Blizzard games in general. I was almost going to maybe potentially buy into Overwatch 2 if I felt like it when it came out. But at this point, I think I'll just
I wasn't
skip
ever
the
gonna
whole
buy
thing.
into Overwatch 2 because I was hyped for Overwatch when it came out. I was into it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's but eventually my interest died down because all it really was PvP and no story. So that was kind of boring after a while.
Yeah.
It got especially annoying because it seemed like Overwatch's team kind of took like throw darts at the wall and seeing, what
I need to do the water.
Quote changes and adjustments they would do to the game. Because there almost seemed to be no rhyme or reason for a lot of their adjustments.
Right.
And adjustments they actually consciously made were made to combat the meta that started to grow. So like the meta for team composition was this, they adjust to counter that meta, and that's all the game became.
We need more hay as well.
I hate whack-a-mole balancing.
Dark it is out here.
Laziest possible way you could go about balancing a game.
So I haven't really touched Overwatch in years.
Yeah, that's the way that Active Blizzard does their balancing. They even do it for WoW too. It's like the same exact shit. Meanwhile,
turns out the WoW killer was WoW all along.
Meanwhile, here's Yoshi P like being very communicative on like how hard the Final Fantasy XIV servers are being hit.
Coming from like Warcraft and Guild Wars 2, it's a little bit odd to see how candid a development company is with its own player base. Like they are very much they communicate very often, which is very bizarre. Like I know who these people are. Like I have faces to their names. Like I even have like an inkling of the kind of personalities they have.
Because it tends to be it tends to be them doing like the live streams and the announcements and everything. It's not like just these like marketing guys who are doing everything. Like when you see the live letter or when when you see them reading out the patch notes, it's not some random marketing guy that they pay to do it. It's Yoshi P himself, and it's Foxclan doing who is I think someone in charge of the marketing, but like he's always there, and it's like we know him, and sometimes
it's always the two of them
soaking in there.
They occasionally have some other. Wow, that's really bright. They occasionally bring other people on if it's pertinent, but it's usually just the Yoshida himself and Foxclan.
Yeah.
He came out with a statement yesterday that they realized that the game is kind of getting hammered a bit with the large influx of new players. That given last year 2020 and the rippling effects that entire year had, that it's gotten very difficult for them to acquire like server equipment just to keep the game running. So it's like they're struggling. They realize this, they apologize, and it's like and Yoshida himself had personally apologized to the player base. He's like, I'm sorry, we're trying, please understand. And it's like he doesn't really need to apologize for this.
No.
It's like no one could really predict the sudden lightning in a bottle attraction to 14 had to this level. I mean we are between expansion packs. Like we are past the final patch
for this expansion pack, and it's going to be like another 3 or 4 months until the next expansion pack hits, which means it's that long until the next like content of any kind hits. This is supposed to be a time when the game is very quiet, and people might like leave the game for a couple months just to like do something else while they wait for new stuff to come out. And Yoshi P has even said, like, it's just also kind of weird for a developer to say. He said, like,
people, like, please go play other things between stuff.
Like, yeah,
and,
he's like, if you don't
really,
want to, you know, if there's
the
nothing new,
design
just go
of
play something
14
else.
lends itself to that. It's that I could stop playing for like 4 months, just dead stop, don't do anything, and then come back, and I can easily catch up with people with just maybe like a month or a couple weeks time putting into the game. I can be right up there with everyone else. That's the thing I like about how they designed their the grind. Essentially, is that you can go away, come back, spend a little bit time gearing up, and you'll be right there with everyone else as if you hadn't gone.
I mean, they even have patches that are like pretty much devoted to making it easier to catch up after a while. They like lift all the weekly lockouts. They make stuff cheaper. They make it easier just to get stuff, or they make it so that you can just buy, relevant equipment with Gil if you have that money.
What I will say about this in regards to 14 versus Warcraft, I kind of miss doing a dungeon and getting weapons. There's only like a few ways to actually get a decent weapon. Is either crafted, you do the relic quest line, which is kind of a ball ache in my opinion, or at least this version.
It always is.
I mean, but it's kind of on purpose because it's a weapon that you get that you really the thing you're paying is time. That and doing extreme fights, which like I said, I don't really care to do. So that's kind of it. Oh no, the tome weapons, but that's also just a hard time gate because you have to be on top of doing your stuff, your weekly lockouts every week. Why do I hear the truck, but I don't see the truck?
I don't know. You're like really far away. The truck is by the horses. Are you getting in, Craig?
What's the hotkey again?
It's just like Shift Z, I think.
Yeah. I was trying Shift N and nothing was happening.
Shift N, I think, is how you switch slots.
Oh.
Passenger slots. Either Shift N or Control N.
We know another company that communicates a lot with the player base.
Who's that?
Yeah.
Go
Weirdly, they're also commonly criticized for not communicating enough.
Uh-huh. Go on.
You don't know who I'm talking about?
No.
Are you talking about SIG?
Yeah.
It's more Star Citizen stuff.
Oh, stuff I don't know about.
Because you can't play. Didn't you say you're gonna get a new computer or upgrade your computer? When is that gonna happen? You been thinking about that?
Well, I've been thinking about it, but
Yes.
It's kind of hard to get new parts.
True. What's your current graphics card again?
I have no clue anymore. All I know is that I think I did looked it up to see what it was and what year it came out. I don't know. I was doing some stuff to see where does my graphic card step up to? Oh, there's the truck. To what would be the minimum spec stuff, and I think it's so old that it doesn't even it's not even on the radar.
Well, I mean, I have like a 970 that you could have if you want it. I mean, I even told you before, I have a 4790K with motherboard and RAM that you are free to have if you would like them. Take them. I mean, I might have you maybe pay for shipping because shipping is not going to be cheap, but that's it. You can have them. I don't give a shit. Take them. I'm not using them for anything. If you want them, just saying. You have that option. The 970 might not be an upgrade for you. I'm not actually sure, because I don't know what card you have. It's a bit old.
I don't even remember what parts I have. It's been so long.
Just open up Device Manager quick.
Yeah. If I could have gotten a goddamn 3080 at MSRP without going through a million hoops, then I might have actually bought one, and then I would have a 1080 to give away as well. To a friend. Anybody watching, I'm sorry. I don't know you. I appreciate you for watching. This is all just stuff between friends, though.
That's my graphic card. I don't know you.
I don't have the money to just give out... Not pictured as
me kicking someone in the groin.
...rewards to random people. I'm sorry. I just don't. I don't have the ability to do that. I apologize for getting anybody's hopes up. People coming here watch my stream. Whoa, they're talking about giving away a 1080? Oh my god. Where do I sign up?
Not pictured as you giving away a copy of 1080 snowboarding.
You can have my my ROM copy I have on my computer.
I found an old GeForce 6800 GS that one of your viewers can have.
I think I actually still have my old 8800 GT somewhere around here.
You guys allowed to pay me shipping, though.
Speaking of computer parts, have you guys read a current thing with New World? Bricking people's graphics cards.
Yes. Yeah.
That doesn't seem likely.
It has.
So here's the thing. It is so far only 3090s, I think. Which is the most expensive card right now.
It seems like an NVIDIA problem, not a New World problem.
So what it is, I think, is a little bit of both, because the only game that this is happening with so far is New World. However, I do agree that it could be an NVIDIA problem.
It's an NVIDIA problem being triggered by New World.
Yeah, it's an NVIDIA problem being triggered by Amazon's New World game. So it's one of those things if New World wasn't... Oh, he's done already. If New World wasn't coded poorly, then it wouldn't have happened. But then again, if NVIDIA had made their cards a little bit better, it also would never have happened. So it's just blame... I think blame is on both sides.
I would tend to blame the hardware manufacturer more. Software is always... It should be expected to be coded poorly to a certain extent.
Your face should be expected to be coded poorly.
Your video card that you make shouldn't die just because some game dev coded poorly. That's always going to happen.
That is true, and the thing is, I think this same kind of problem has happened with other games, in the past. Because I remember things like this happening with years ago with other games.
If your card dies while you're playing New World, it's not Amazon that would have to replace your card, it's NVIDIA.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're going to have to talk to NVIDIA to get a replacement card, but that doesn't absolve Amazon and New World from holding some kind of responsibility, being that they should probably do something, have a look at their game to figure out why it's doing that.
Do we even know for a fact that it's coded poorly, or it just happened to be coded in a way that doesn't get along with NVIDIA's card?
So as far as I know, I am only guessing here, but this is very similar to, like I said, to other problems that I've seen even years ago, where basically they don't bother putting any kind of frame rate limit on the the main menu. That is the easiest thing to render, and so the card will try its utmost to try to render at 1,000 frames a second if it can, and this basically completely overwhelms and overheats the card and causes it to die.
Assuming that that's what's happening in this instance, it seems like NVIDIA needs to just implement something to stop that from happening in general.
Yeah. But the thing is,
they could have an internal frame rate limiter.
The thing is, it's not really it's not a new thing, but it's also not a thing that happens often. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's kind of weird.
NVIDIA probably decided internally that it happens infrequently enough that they'd rather just replace cards than change anything to fix it.
Maybe, but I feel like needing to replace cards is like the last thing that they want to do at this point.
At this point, yeah, but I'm talking about a decision that they may have made years ago.
Yeah.
It could also be a decision that was made with New World to, like, a conscious decision on their end as well. It's like they are not entirely without blame.
Yeah, there are things that we can't know. Like, yeah, theoretically, Amazon could have had a meeting where they're like, this might kill some people's cards and we're going to do it anyway. That's theoretically possible. I just think it's generally more the hardware manufacturer's responsibility. I'm not saying it's even 100% theirs.
All right. I needed to switch out the tractors because I wanted to go ahead and spray this with weed killer. I'm not going to bother with fertilizer though. And we are still moving at 15 times speed. I could even move quicker, but I don't know how long this is going to take.
With quickness.
It's so weird the way, yeah.
Let's just get the crops in a state where they're going to be at max yield, and then just start skipping through days and only working on the horses.
I mean, we can do that. I went ahead and put it up to 30. It shouldn't take me that long, but I was just gonna herbicide and then.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say it's so weird the way the time scale works. Is that like some things are affected by the time scale and some things aren't, and they're affected like differently. I don't know. It's just very strange.
Do you know anything about differences in New World since we played the alpha a long time ago?
No, other than I think people said it runs a little bit better, but they also said it's one of those where it's going to be a little bit more PvP focused, which kind of turns me right the hell off. I don't really know that much about it otherwise.
I wouldn't really mind it, as long as there's not just a lot of stupid ganking.
Well, it's any PvP game. There's always going to be a lot of stupid ganking.
It kind of depends. Like, they can have systems to
Isn't New World supposed to have like a crime system in regards to that? Or am I thinking of a different MMO?
I think I vaguely might remember something about PvP against, I don't know.
I mean, I'm kind of even worried about that kind of thing in like Star Citizen. Like, how are they going to curb the gank squad kind of thing? Or I guess it's kind of like So I know one of the things they really want to do is to have piracy be a thing, which is fine. Piracy generally means that you take the goods and then leave and not necessarily kill everyone who's on board. I think that's what they're imagining is that as a player pirate, you could hold up other players and take their stuff and then leave and not necessarily kill the players. But I'm not sure that that's really going to happen, because I don't know what the disadvantage to just killing a player is going to be. You know, like why would a pirate leave a player alive instead of just killing them?
Because they're subject to much harsher penalties for that.
I mean, maybe, but then if they give the pirates the ability to not get arrested in general, like if they just go hang out on Grimhex all the time and stuff like that, then what's the point?
Well, they can't just stay in Grimax all the time. I think they would want NPC security to actively hunt down players who engage in the more aggressive stuff like that.
Maybe.
Like they would have. Firstly, they have player bounties set on them.
Yeah, they do.
And the player bounties would be more lucrative for the worst criminals. And then I think they're also going to have NPC security that will go and attack them when they're out in space.
I mean, are they going to have like NPC bounty hunters as well?
Yeah.
So as a criminal, you have to like worry about getting randomly attacked by an NPC? If you have like a bounty on your head?
Their stated goal is for the population of the game to be 10% player and 90% NPC. And that's basically across all jobs.
Mm. Because I mean, I guess I can picture that for the more mundane stuff like cargo and supply and demand and all of that stuff. Because I mean, that's more or less just moving numbers around on a spreadsheet. Just it happens to be also on like, you know, spaceships. But and I can imagine like a lot of NPCs doing that because that's kind of, you know, that's done in games already. Like games do that kind of stuff already. But it's just weird to me to imagine that being the way to disincentivize players from actively killing other players for the purposes of piracy or just for fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They do want people to be able to roleplay crazy criminals too, though.
Yeah.
Like,
it's just,
there is a place for someone who just wants to murder people, but the game just has to have systems in place to make that disincentivized and have the actual law enforcement of the game go after those people. Like, if you're a pirate who just stops people and asks for a percentage of the cargo to be dumped and pick it up and leave and nobody gets hurt, you're going to face much milder pushback from the law enforcement system.
That's assuming people will play nice. I am of the general mindset that no one's really going to play that nicely.
Yeah, I mean, if I look at the other side, so if you're getting held up by someone, would you not want to fight them as much as you can?
It depends.
I guess it does depend. It depends on what ship you have. It depends on if you're being escorted by people. Because I do get that the Death of a Spaceman is kind of a big part of that, in that it's supposed to make choosing dangerous choices to be kind of a high risk thing. Like, you don't really want to ever die if you can help it.
Yeah.
So choosing to fight against a pirate attack is definitely a dangerous choice in that regard.
I could see percentages for pirates in lawless areas to be kind of regarded as a cost of doing business by a lot of people.
And I mean, that would definitely, and as it should, it would definitely kind of make it more difficult to find certain supplies and stuff in those places, and that's kind of the intent, I'm sure.
Yeah. And the next system that they're going to implement is going to be a very lawless system.
Yeah, they're doing pyro.
Which will contrast with the mostly lawful Stanton system.
Although there's definitely a lot of places in Stanton that feel kind of lawless. And I wonder if that's going to transfer over to pyro when they come out with it, or if it's still going to have big sections of Stanton that feel a bit lawless and then also have pyro.
Well, what currently feels lawless? Because currently it's just like Grimhex.
Basically, most of the area around Crusader, including Port Olisar,
That's probably
to be honest.
It's probably just because of proximity to Grimhex. But yeah.
I mean, I never really hang around Crusader at all, which I guess might change next patch if I decide to play a bit because of Orison. But
yeah.
you know, I hear so much stuff about like people like pad ramming and griefing and doing that kind of stuff around Port Olisar that I only ever go to the Crusader system if I need something specifically from the Crusader system. Because of that kind of stuff. And Death of a Spaceman isn't really implemented yet, so I guess a lot of that behavior isn't going to be curbed by the fear of death, because there really isn't any downside to death right now other than having to reclaim your ship.
Yeah, a lot of those systems are in place.
Although apparently it's coming pretty soon. Supposedly, even before we get medical stuff, I think they're going to do some Death of a Spaceman stuff. Although I think 315 is supposed to be like a big medical patch.
Well, they've started on some of that stuff though. Like there is prison, and you do get charged with a crime if you pad ram.
True.
And they do have the turrets try to kill you, even though they're not very effective yet.
I believe how slow this other worker is at getting this field done. It's ridiculous. I'm just gonna herbicide this field, and then I'm gonna time skip again. Anyway, where were we at? Lost joke. When are you gonna upgrade your computer so you can try out Scam Citizen with us?
I don't know, when Star Citizen's in a more full state.
What will be a full state as defined by you?
What it is now is not full to me.
What do you want in it?
That is a very open-ended question that I can't like give a concrete answer to.
Well, is there like a specific job that you want to do, or do you want more play area?
Yeah, like what kind of gameplay are you looking
You're
for?
asking me to describe the universe and more for a game that is promising such.
Well, no, I'm just asking what you specifically would like to do in the game.
That it's still subjective. That could be about anything I could possibly want to do in the game. Okay, how about this? How about direction? I make my character, I'm in the world. Okay, what do I do?
Anything you want.
Give me direction.
I mean, it's not that kind of a game.
There are mission givers.
Is there a story?
I mean, not really.
It's not intended to really have a story, but
it's not a theme park MMO. Is the thing.
There are mission givers.
Here's the thing. I understand you can do absolutely anything you want. That's cool. People like that. I would like some sort of direction. If there's no direction, I don't know what I want to do.
Like I'm saying, there are mission givers, and they have kind of their own mission chains.
Where were they?
I think there's one on every planet so far. I actually haven't bothered with them, because when we play, we just do random shit for fun.
My problem with the current mission givers is that there's not a lot of info as to how their missions are affecting your rep. Even with the new rep system, there's nothing up front that says accepting and doing this mission is going to negatively affect your rep with another faction. There's nothing that says that. You just kind of find out about that after the fact.
I'm not sure that there should be.
Maybe not, but like, it does mean that if you like, you can't really do all missions in the game in that way. Like if someone is a completionist and wants to do all the content, you can't really do that because doing missions for one guy might affect your rep with another guy and make it so that you can no longer accept missions from the other guy.
In a certain sense, if it's implemented correctly, I think that's a good thing. It kind of gives you an incentive to pick who you do business with carefully, like you might want to do in the real world.
Kinda, yeah.
But it does have to be implemented right. Like, if there's nonsensical stuff that punishes you arbitrarily for reasons that are obscure to you, that would probably be bad.
How about, do they plan to add some sort of like tutorial to teach you how to fly a ship?
Yeah, they actually did have one, but it just became obsolete because of all the stuff they were adding, and they didn't want to keep pouring development resources into keeping it updated.
And I mean,
because I got into my ship, I'm like, okay, well now what do I do?
In that case, I mean, right now, because the game is still kind of alpha and very in development, I mean, you can just look at a YouTube video and they can show you like what to do, or you can ask one of us to show you what to do.
Yes. But I mean, okay. I can ask people. What about people who don't have anyone to rely on? It's a little bit of a bother to go out of the game itself to learn how to do something in game. It's not fun.
Well, that's not like what the final game is going to be like, but that's just what the game is going to be like right now because, like I said, it's still in an alpha. Like they're still working on it.
They should really have a concrete, like, basic control scheme for all of their systems first before they start like giving you the universe.
What do you mean? I mean, like I said, they're still working on it. This isn't like one of those marketing betas where
they do have a pretty basic control scheme.
Like I said, I made my character, got into game, and I'm like, well, what do I do? What's all of this? To people who don't like going into outside resources or have other people to rely on to play with, it's a daunting game that doesn't hold your hand, which is kind of a detriment to the game itself because a lot of games and fans of the games who are like, oh, I like it because it doesn't hold your hand. Okay, but you need to give me some sort of semblance on how to just exist in this world. If you don't do that, it's not fun.
Well, I will give you an example of maybe why they don't still have a tutorial up right now, because they are in fact still adding to the way the game plays, and they are in fact still changing the way the game plays. For instance, it used to be the way you do missiles in the game is changing in a major way with the next patch, and they're also adding the entire capacitor system, which is a little bit more like kind of the old school space sim where you can allocate more energy to weapons, shields, or engines to perform better in those three categories that they didn't have before this next patch. And that's going to be like a major part of the gameplay that they would have had to completely revamp any tutorial that they might have had to include that.
And that's where I'm coming from. When the game is in a state of which it has a foundation that they don't need to touch anymore, I'll go back to it.
So you're basically waiting for beta?
Probably, I guess. It is too fluid of a state currently that I really cannot give it any attention.
It is somewhat fluid, although if you learn the basic control scheme, which doesn't change dramatically over short periods of time, you can easily jump back in later and it'll be mostly the same, and you just have to look at the keybinds and figure out how to do whatever might be new.
Yeah, this next patch is basically the biggest the biggest control change that they've had in like a long time, like with the addition of the different missile system and the capacitors. It's like the one major change that they've had in the last couple of years in terms of like how to control a ship.
Well, I appreciate that it's a. Oh, every time you do that, I think my game broke.
It's because we have to wait until I can't do it until 7 o'clock. It doesn't let you skip time like this until 7 o'clock.
I appreciate that Star Citizen it exists. People are into it, but for me, I probably won't touch it again until a more solid beta or until it's released. I'll honestly say I won't touch it again until that point.
I mean, that's fine.
It's kind of a meme, but Star Citizen isn't going to have what traditionally would be called a release.
Until it doesn't have alpha or beta or anything on it, until it just says Star Citizen, I probably won't touch it.
I mean, that's fine, but I can tell you it's fairly fun to dick around in, even like right now.
Yeah, it was fun. In my brief stint into it, I was sort of having a pretty decent time going from system to system, but
like I definitely don't play it as like my main game, but like every once in a while, if I want to fly a spaceship, then I'm probably just gonna boot up Star Citizen for a bit and play that for a few hours, and then I'll go do something else. I'm riding horse. It's horse riding time. There are definitely a lot of things that Star Citizen doesn't have yet. I will definitely tell you. I definitely agree to that. There's a lot of major systems that aren't implemented yet that really probably need to be, but aren't going to be for a while.
Yeah. Oh, I'm doing it. Holy shit!
What are you? Oh my god! What happened? I saw like the end of that. I saw like the tail end of that.
I just drove up the hill and kept driving.
Oh my god.
It's the quickest way to get to the horses.
I'm trying to think of like what other games are out there or on the horizon that I am particularly interested in, and there's not really a whole lot, to be honest.
I would be provisionally interested in New World only. To play it together.
Yeah, I'm probably not. Unless, I mean,
I'm not sure that's gonna happen.
I'll look into it. Like, I'll watch like a YouTube video or whatever if you know, if someone talks about it. But
I have
like
some folks in another Discord. I guess I could pop into voice with them because I know they're playing it and they might stream it. So if they do, I'll keep an eye out for that so I can actually see it live.
From what little I know now, it doesn't really interest me.
I've seen some videos of one YouTuber playing it and giving kind of like an impression of it, and there are some things that seem neat, but it seems like it might not be a game that'll grab me.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is yet, so I'll have to like figure out what the thing is that's keeping me from really being invested in the idea. But you know, I kind of blame a lot of my curmudgeon attitude with just kind of the scope of the games industry as a whole. That I don't know, maybe I'm getting old.
we're getting old and jaded.
I'm getting old, and I'm just like like Danny Glover. I'm just too old for this shit. Get too old for this.
I like the idea of going out in the wilderness, picking a spot, building a fort with your friends, having to defend it, and also getting like a somewhat deep crafting thing going there.
Well,
I mean,
you know what
can
game
do that
we
with
should
other
play?
games though too.
The game
New
we
World.
should play, the inside joke and persistent meme, Dude Sim Alaska.
Wish. But no, I mean, you can do that in Rust. You can do that in Conan. You can do that in a lot of games. New World definitely doesn't have the monopoly on that kind of gameplay.
Yeah, it's a little different. It's not.
Is New World the one that has
It's
the node
kind of the same
system?
genre. Node.
The idea that settlements technologically progress by the interaction of players themselves in a specific area. Like a settlement will start as like a camp and keep going up. Am I thinking of a different game?
No, you're thinking of it. I know what game you're thinking of, but I don't remember the name. And it's not.
Isn't that Ashes of Creation?
I don't know when it's coming out. Yeah, Ashes of Creation.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So
I'm looking forward to trying that, but I don't know when it's coming out. It's probably going to be a long time still.
My main
New World is like New World setting, obviously, with some fantasy elements, and you basically want to build like palisade wall forts, and you have crafting.
Okay, so it's like a PvP siege-based game.
Set in, like, colony North America, yeah.
Setting doesn't interest me too much, so I was just curious, like, it
dictates the technology level.
There's also a little bit of magic in it, but it's not. Supposedly, it's not like really big, like magic everywhere thing.
It's a little bit of fantasy thrown in.
Yeah. My main problem with the building, picking on a spot and building and stuff is that what happens when all the spots are taken? Like,
yeah,
it happens
that's the
even
problem
in Rust
when you
and
have
Conan, where like all the spots are taken.
Like overworld real estate. The best spots will be taken. Albion Online has a thing where it's a lot of like player-driven territories, and my experience with such things is that the best spots we've taken over by the biggest guild,
you're almost done,
controlled by them, and you have to pay for access, or they'll just kill you. The big fish will control the pond, and anyone new starting out will just struggle.
Yeah,
it doesn't typically breed a positive experience for new players.
I agree that would be bad. I hope that a game that goes into that sort of thing would come up with ways to...
They tend not to, though, to be honest. If I'm being super honest.
If I was looking into New World, I would want to see if they have addressed that in any way in their design.
I'm my first exposure to that kind of thing where you can build a building and have a whole thing is Ultima Online. I mean, they started out with the ability to purchase a house and put it anywhere in the world or anywhere outside of an actual NPC city. And their intent was that people would place their houses near each other, and you'd have like guilds kind of running towns. And that was fine, but like eventually it did get to the point where there just wasn't really any more room in a good place. Or like if you wanted to put a house down, maybe there's room, but maybe it's like 1,000,000 miles from like the nearest city, and it's just like in a shit place. But that's all there is. And I mean, it's the same thing with Star Wars Galaxies had that here. I mean, Star Wars Galaxies had an actual town system where, like, there was an actual system for the making and maintaining of towns, and you did have player towns. But even there, if you wanted to put a building in a town, you kind of had to talk with the mayor of the town or whatever, which was fine. But then, like, what happens when a group essentially takes up all of the space, and you don't want to be part of a town, or maybe you don't care if you are or not, but they won't let you in, and like it's the only place to put a house, so like now you just can't live there anymore because there's no room.
not to break the conversation a bit, but it seems there's another storm coming my way. So if I suddenly disconnect, you'll know why.
Okay.
I am a little surprised at the sheer number of storms that have been passing through my area in the past month. This is going to be like the fourth or fifth storm that's come through.
Yay! Climate change, the best.
And the last storm that came through knocked my power out for 2 days.
I think I've only ever had like one time when I've actually had power outage more than a day, and it was for like 3 or 4 days, and it was absolutely terrible. I don't remember.
It was projected that I might have no power for like a week, so it's like I was genuinely considering having to go somewhere for a while.
I'm actually stuck here.
That's when you get a laptop, Lost Joke, and you just go to like a Starbucks or a McDonald's. Go to like a Starbucks or McDonald's and just play your games there.
Like, I have a laptop. It's not very good. It's not a gaming laptop. It was like a school laptop.
I have 0 tire contact with the ground here.
I'm coming, Craig. Where are you?
Do you have the fork?
I'm by the horse.
Because I think you're going to need the fork. Okay, the horse cannot move the truck.
That would be weird if it could. Funny, but weird.
Hey, this game has weird physics as it is.
Well, we need to buy a new truck.
I don't think we have enough money for a new truck. I want to say the new truck like that is at minimum 60K.
Well, let's just declare this totaled and make an insurance claim.
Right now. We could change the truck's color if you want. Does anyone want to change the color to something else? Does anyone have a preferred color for the truck?
Purple.
You want a purple truck? Lost Joke, what do you want? You want a purple truck? You want white?
White.
That truck is going to be dirty as hell if we get it white.
It's going to be dirty regardless of what color we pick. Well, maybe brown. If we get a brown truck, it might hide the mud.
I mean, a white truck would be brown anyway, eventually. No, we're not going to sips the truck. We're not going to make it a hot pink truck.
I pit maneuvered you, and it did nothing because you're in a tractor.
That's goddamn right.